Hi everyone, Mick from Aquaponics. Just going to show you a couple of simpler things, the way I do a few things with my aquaponic systems. With floating rafts and rigid rafts, your net cups, I use these ones. I got them from China, the black ones. They use the black ones here, they're a little bit softer. These are a lot more rigid. You get about 2 or 3, maybe 4 grows out of these until the sun sort of hardens them up and they get a bit brittle. Then you throw them away and use some more. I ordered 10,000 of these, so I think that'll last my lifetime out. Now, when you put your seedling in these, you either fill it up with gravel, perlite, vermiculite, or other substances. Very hard to try and hold the plant and fill it up around the side with the medium. I've found an easier way and a lot cleaner and simpler way to do it. You get yourself some Dacron. You can buy it from Spotlight or a couple other places. I think air conditioning mobs have it. Now you cut it into strips like this, then you cut it into little 1-inch squares. And just cut the whole sheet up, and that'll give you a big box full of little squares. What I do, I grow my seedlings in, I've got a seedling bed where I just spray the seeds, and when they come up, once they've got 2 to 3 leaves, I can take them out. I'll grab a piece of Dacron, I'll tear it so it's just about in half. Say this is my seedling. I place the seedling in the centre so the roots are sitting out the bottom and sitting up about that high. Then the net cups are sitting in the rigid raft or floating raft, and you just place that inside there, and that is it. The Dacron will actually soak moisture up very quick. The water level on mine are only about 10 mil up from the bottom. It'll soak up, the plant will take off. 2 leaves, the plant's only, say, once it sprouts, it's about 3 or 4 days old. Then I'll transplant it and put it in the grow beds, in the rigid rafts. Takes about 3 to 4 weeks, and you're picking. Once one trough is completed in picking, I strip it down, clean it, because there's dead leaves on the top of the plate that's got all the holes drilled in it. I use, it's called alu panel, I think. It's a thin film of aluminium each side with plastic in the centre. It's 4 mil thick, very rigid. That sits on top, and off the water are about 25 mil. So your net cup would sit in about 10 mil of the water, and you've got all this space here as airflow underneath. With a floating raft, the foam sits on top of the water, and to me, you need an aerator in the water to put enough oxygen in there for your air roots. With the rigid raft, because it's sitting out of the water, you've got that airflow in between the water and the top of your plate. That oxygen flow through there is enough to make your plants grow really well. Your tap roots will go into the water, air roots can get enough oxygen, and the plant does really well. With a floating raft, because it floats in the water and you cannot get it perfectly sealed, It lets a bit of light in the edges, and you'll see green algae growing on the sides and sometimes in the water. To me, I think the rigid raft is better, and I think it actually grows a little bit faster on a rigid raft than it does a floating raft. A week faster than your grow beds with gravel. Now I've tried it, and I've planted both plants out of the seedling box, same age, in a rigid raft and in my grow beds. And the ones in my rigid raft, I'm picking them easy a week, maybe earlier than the ones in the grow bed. But to me, this in your net cups is very ideal because it's quick and easy. Once the plant has grown to adult size and you harvest, all you do is take the whole plant out. The net cup will still be intact. Roots will be hanging out the bottom. You just break the roots off, pull the plant out. None of the rubbish like vermiculite, perlite or soil or gravel will fall into your tubs, which saves you cleaning a lot of rubbish out of there as well, and it can go through and block your pump up. This way no rubbish goes in there. The dacron stays intact. It actually stays around the root part of your plant, and you just cut that off and discard it. To me, I think this is a fast and easy way of growing. It's just getting the dacron, cutting them up into little squares. Like one sheet of dacron, you'll get, I reckon, over 2,000 little squares, and that lasts me about 4 grows. I normally plant out about 500, sometimes more, depends on what I'm doing. And 2,000, well, that's four lots of growing. But I've got 7 troughs, and I've got 125 plants in each trough. So, that's way over 700 plants. So nearly 1,000 plants get planted out. So it lasts me maybe 8 weeks by the time they grow and pick and replace. So that saves a lot of my time. I've got grow beds, I've got wicking beds, I've got just rigid rafts, I've got vertical grows that I started off with 10 with 3 holes around the pipe, the 100mm pipe. Well, actually it was 6-inch pipe, this one. I'd cut a slit, shove a piece of 50mm pipe in the slit, heat it up and bend it out, and that would give me roughly a cup on the outside. The thing was, it was filled with medium, and if I grew lettuce in there, the lettuce would pack that tight with the root system, I could never get them out. It was a pain. So I thought, well, there must be an easier way. I saw this thing on another site, which are called gro-pockets, which you can implement these and no medium in the pipe, which makes it a lot lighter and acts like aquaponics because it's sprayed with a sprayer on top, goes down the 100mm tube and hits every net cup. What I'll do, I'll show you roughly how I set mine up. This is a 100mm piece of pipe. I mean, you actually go bigger than this, but I'll just show you. This is a grow pocket. It's made out of thin PVC. It looks like it's been vacuum moulded over. It comes from America. You can buy them here. I'll tell you the site, Murray Hallam Aquaponics. He sells it. I think he's in the Sunshine Coast or the Gold Coast, somewhere down there. But if you go online and type in Murray Hallam Aquaponics, you should get on his site. Type in grow pockets, and you can buy them off of him. Very expensive. He had them at $7 something each. I bought 100, and I think it cost me around $600. I got a bit of discount, but that is still expensive. But if you've only got a real small area, you can fit these pipes all the way along your fence line, and it only comes out 12 inches. So to do this, I don't know if you can see, I've already drawn it on there. that sits on there, and then I drill the hole, put a mark with a pen on the centre where that is, so I know roughly where the hole grows, and then I'll turn the pipe on a slight angle. Where have I got it? There. Then I'll place that one up there and mark the hole. So then I've got a grow bed there, a grow pocket there, and all the way up. I've cut mine down to actually 6 of these, all the way up. There's none around the back because mine are up against the wall. Well, not quite, but what I'm saying, up near the wall. These will go down into another long pipe with a fitting, so these will sit inside. I had these 10 high at one stage, but it was a pain for me because I'm not well. I've got bad sciatic pains. I can't climb up and down the ladder and keep cleaning the nozzles. That's the only downfall with these. If your water's not clean and you haven't filtered your water, you get a bit of rubbish in the spray jet, they block up, then your plants start dying because they're not getting any water. So you've got to check them daily. Mine have been going really good now since they're up so high. I just tap them at the top and I can hear them spraying. If they're not, well then I'll pull it apart and clean the jet. Very good idea. The plants in here, this is your net cup. This is placed in here. Your net cup sits inside. So that would sit inside like that. Once the hole is in there, part of your net cup sits past this part here. You'll find that once the water sprays through the top, you've got your little sprayer. I've made cut some round rings so no water sprays out the top. It's just like a cover plate. I just use old 20 litre bucket lids and use my laser and cut the circles, put a hole in the centre, put your dripper through, and as it sprays, it atomises, it goes against your wall on the inside, flows down, plus you'll get a mist that goes down that's highly oxygenated, so it acts more like aeroponics, and you'll find your plants will grow maybe a week faster than in a grow bed or a wicking bed or a rigid raft. Because the roots, the water's dropping down and the oxygen, there's plenty of oxygen in there. The only needs 2 drops to land on the net cup in a minute, which will be enough to water your plant. Once your root system starts getting bigger, it'll hang down and the wall will always be wet, so it'll pick up as much nutrients as it wants. And your root system stays clean. There's no fish waste. If your roots go brown, they get coated and they can't absorb as much nutrients as they want. So if your roots are white, clean, they can absorb whatever nutrients they need. So I think this is a good idea in one way. It has a few hiccups, the same as everything else has a few hiccups. Heavy gravel, you try and put your seedlings in there or transplant different plants in there, you end up with no nails because the rocks are so big. So I've changed all my grow beds from 20mm gravel to 10mm, which is scoria or volcanic rock. I think Queensland they call it Quincan gravel, but it's volcanic rock, very porous. It'll hold a lot of moisture in, easier to push apart the 10mm. I think they use it a lot in orchids because it stays so moist for so long. Very good for putting seedlings in or seeds. They sprout very quick, and this is what I use. The next video I'll show you how to plant the plants in these net cups and into my grow beds or into my rigid rafts, and I'll show you a little bit more on doing that. But this is just to show people the net cups. The Dacron is so much simpler, a lot quicker and easier to keep clean. You don't have to worry about washing your root system when you sell your plants. It's very clean. With your rigid raft, they are good for herbs, lettuces, any Asian vegetables that grow reasonably quick. Bok choy I can grow in 3 weeks in a rigid raft, 4 weeks in a grow bed. Lettuces 3 to 4 weeks in your vertical grow. They'll grow 3 weeks, no worries at all, and they are actually a little bit bigger. A lot of people, you know, they grow lettuces in the ground. Well, they'll take around 90 days, and because they've taken that long to grow, 90% of the time they bolt and go to seed because they're grown so slow. In hydroponics, I think it's about 50 to 70 days for a mature lettuce. Still a bit slow. And in aquaponics, you're looking anywhere between 28 days. And 28 days you can do a lot more growing because you're changing over your crop every 28 days instead of every, say, 6 to 8 weeks. And to me, if you can get double the amount of volume, you're making more money if you're selling them. In the vertical grows, I mainly grow strawberries and a couple of herbs. I'll be growing thyme and celery leaves, which is not the celery in the big stalk. It's just looks a bit like parsley when it grows. You just cut it, use what you want, and it'll keep growing. It'll regenerate all the time, and it lasts for a long time. And it's double the strength of your celery stalks. Very good for your soups, stir fries. Yeah, so this is the system. If you've got a rigid raft or a floating raft, I think is a lot cleaner idea. If you're growing bigger vegetables like zucchini, eggplant, tomatoes, you don't really want to grow in a grow bed. Too big, takes up a lot of room, and if you've got 1 square metre grow bed, look, you can only put in maybe 5 plants, where lettuces you can put in maybe 80. So that's why I've got grow beds and rigid raft. My grow beds, if I want to put bigger stuff in, like I've got cabbages in this year, I just thought I'd try it, see how it goes, but I know they're going to take up a lot of room, so I've got maybe 10 cabbages maximum in a 1100 by a metre. Tomatoes I've actually got in a rigid raft because I forgot to take them out and they started getting big. I thought, I'm going to leave them. And they've taken up the whole 2.2 metres by 880 wide. I'll show you in the next video. I'll video how they're going. These are a first prize tomato, one of the best tomatoes I reckon. They grow. The inside flesh is a bit like beefsteak, where there's heaps of flesh and seeds in different parts, not like seeds in pods in each side like a grossolisy or something like that, or a tropical tomato. This is the first time I've grown them here. I used to grow them in Adelaide. Very, very nice tomato. Very nice tomato. Nice eating. Get really large. I've got tomatoes in a wicking bed. Wicking beds, I've got most of your root vegetables. I mainly grow taro for the missus because she's Samoan. With tomatoes in a grow bed, you'll find the root system will take over virtually the whole grow bed. What you see on top, you'll have double underneath in the roots. In a Dutch bucket, you'll get maybe a clump about this big of roots. But in a grow bed, it'll grow 2 metres long, the root system. It takes out a lot of nutrients, so you've got to put in, the fish waste is not enough, so what I use worm tea. I've got a worm farm. I put that in maybe fortnight, 3 weeks, it depends. I just check on how much nutrient I've got. If it looks like it's down a bit, well then I'll add worm tea and maybe a little bit of sea salt just to give the plants a little bit of an oomph. And you can notice a difference. Iron, I'll put in maybe once every 2 to 3 months, depends on how much I grow. And you can tell if there's an iron deficiency, your plants are going to be a yellowish tinge. They're not going to be dark green the way they should look. Like lettuces and bok choy should be really nice, bright green. So I just put, I put 2 teaspoons of iron into my seedling bed, which goes to all my floating rafts, rigid rafts, and that seems to do the trick. You can tell the next day the plants will look a hell of a lot better. So if it's lacking in iron, well then you just buy a packet of chelated iron from Bunnings or a nursery, and it'll last you a long time. Like I've said, 2 teaspoons that grow 1,000 vegetables every 2 to 3 months. I mean, it'll last me over 12 months. So that's about it for this video. I hope I've helped out a few people who've got rigid rafts or floating rafts. Make it a lot easier. Yeah, until the next video, I'll show you how I plant and take out and clean my system. And anyone who wants to go into rigid rafts or your vertical grow beds, I'll do a little video on the vertical grows as well, just to show you. So all the best, happy growing, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you, bye.